Welcome to the Soul Work, a weekly show where we look at a strategy, a process, a tool, a technique, or a thought for your spiritual growth. My name is Gina. I'm a spiritual teacher, creator of Soul Quest, and the LGBTQ advocate within the spiritual world. In this episode, let's talk about how to overcome a setback. Setbacks come in different shapes and different sizes. Let me give you an example of a day-to-day setback. Imagine that you're working on a document. You're working on it all morning. You're pouring all your energy, all your high vibrations, all your thoughts, all your emotions, everything into it. Your best words, it's all going into that document. And all of a sudden, you lose it. It goes. You're not sure where it's gone, but it's gone. And you think, ooh, did I save that? And when you look back, you recognise that you didn't save it and you've literally lost everything. In that one moment, you lost everything. And it can feel like the end of the world. Even though we know it's not, we can feel like it is. And we go into panic mode. And we go, oh no, where's it gone? Somebody help me, get on the phone. How can somebody help me? You Google it. You're trying to find every solution possible to find that document that you've just lost. That's an example of a day-to-day setback. We've all gone through it, we've all experienced it. We never learn, do we? We never learn to save that document as you're going. Here's a learning point, save the document you're working on right now. Example of a day-to-day setback. Then we've got bigger setbacks that we can experience, such as maybe you're working on a personal goal. You're working on it and all of a sudden it feels like it's slipping out of your reach and you're not quite sure why or how. Could be where you went for a promotion and you didn't get the job. And you start internalising that. You start to think, okay, so why didn't I get that? Why am I not good enough? Why is that person better than me? Bigger setbacks are things like a job loss. Maybe that you're experiencing a failing relationship or the end of a relationship. Could be health related. You may have some quite big health issues going on. Could be hobby related. So it may be where you're working towards something within a hobby and you don't quite get there. Might be related to your finances and money within your family. And that comes in different shapes and sizes too. So that could be where you have a job and they cut your hours and all of a sudden your monthly income has halved or quartered or whatever. The income has disappeared overnight. It may be on a bigger scale where you're facing bankruptcy. It might be where you're having issues within your family and it feels like you're having a day-to-day struggle or setbacks within your family. A much bigger experience of a setback could be where you lose a loved one, where they pass away. And obviously there's in that moment where it doesn't feel like a setback, it's like your life has been devastated in that moment. And then as life progresses and you carry on and you learn how to be, I don't want to say that you learn how to live with it because you never learn how to live with it, but you learn how to be in a different way. Then you start to think, okay, so I feel like my life has been set back in some way. I'm experiencing a setback in who I am, my identity. Maybe where you're going, where you're heading in life. Maybe you're having a bit of an epiphany where you go, okay, so life is short, what can I do differently here? I don't want to go out like that. I want to live my life fully. I want to be the person that I came here to be. Make sure I fulfill everything that I want to fulfill while I'm here. They're all examples of setbacks. There's plenty more examples of setbacks. In your life, you'll experience many different variations of setbacks. There's just a few to get you thinking about setbacks. And when we experience a setback, all the emotions start to bubble up to the surface, don't we? So panic, it could be shock, it could be anger, it could be that you feel really upset and frustrated and let down and disappointed, and all those kind of emotions start to bubble up. And they can start to take over too. So let's talk about now how to overcome a setback. What can you do? First thing is to make sure that you acknowledge it. Acknowledge it. Don't push it under the carpet, don't kind of run away from it. Acknowledge the fact that it's happening. And then the second thing is to feel the emotion. You're going to feel emotion. Everybody feels emotion. And if you don't feel that emotion, if you decide to suppress it or say, you know what, I'll deal with it later, if you do that, the emotions will become trapped in your body, and it will impact on you at some point later on. That could be with your health, it might be with your relationships, it might be with money, it could be literally any area of your life it could have an impact on, but it will have an impact somewhere later down the line if you don't deal with those emotions as they arise. There's different ways that you can deal with those emotions. Some people like to sit with them in that moment, literally sit with it and experience it and feel it. Other people like to journal, to get it all out of their head, literally write it down, get it out. You need to find a way that works for you. The important thing there is to feel the emotion, experience it. And then the next thing is to change your thinking about setbacks. When I think of the words how to overcome a setback, that to me is quite a negative vibration. It's a low level experience in my body when I think of those words. How about if you thought of it in a different way? How about if you thought of it as an opportunity for growth? How about if you thought of it as the universe or God or source or whatever it is that you believe in has a much bigger picture and plan for you in your life. You're here for much bigger things. And the only thing is you can't see it at the moment. And the reason that you can't see it at the moment is because you're living your world through your ego as opposed to opening up to the bigger picture. If you saw this as an opportunity for growth and that you knew that there was a bigger plan here for you, how different would that experience be? Change your thinking about it. The fourth thing to think about is to take the learning from it. So once you've experienced that emotion, the emotion has been experienced, you can be objective. You can look at the situation and you can think, okay, so what was this here to teach me? What can I learn from it? What was good about it? What wasn't so good? What can I do differently? What can I learn from this? Because when you take the learning from it, you're no longer attached to it on a bigger scale. You can release that attachment because you've released the emotions and you've released the learning point from it, because there is something to be learned from it. Every experience that we have, we can learn from it. So what can you learn from that particular experience, from that setback that you've had? At some point in the future, you'll start thinking about the particular setback that we're talking about here. And when you start thinking about it, you'll start to have those negative thoughts, those thoughts and feelings that come back and resurface, that start to pull you down, that lower your vibration, that make you not feel quite so good about yourself. Now, we don't want to quieten our mind. When people talk about meditation, they talk about quietening your mind. This isn't about quietening your mind or shutting off your mind. This is about detaching from those negative thoughts. So don't associate anything to those thoughts. Literally let them flow on by. The minute that you attach thought or story or meaning to them, that's when they start to ingrain into our belief system. That's when you start to listen to them. And you don't want to listen to them. You literally want to let them flow on by. So detach from your negative thoughts. Release that attachment to those thoughts. And then the last thing to mention is to focus in on the present moment. Focus on now. You had a setback in a moment of time, or you had an opportunity for growth in that moment of time. You felt the emotions. You've taken the learning from it. Now it's time to focus on now. Don't look back at the past. Don't forward think to the future. Think about now. What is going on for you right now? Let go and surrender to what will be. You know that there's a bigger picture here for you. And you know that life isn't always going to be a setback or a struggle. Life is meant to flow, and life generally does flow. And to get back into that flow and to experience that flow and that high vibration, it's about living in the present moment. Because in the present moment, there are no setbacks, okay? There's no setbacks. There's just this moment that is here right now. Bring your attention right here. Focus on the present moment. That's where the magic is. I'd love to hear from you. Tell me, what has been the biggest insight that you're taking away from this week's episode? And I'd also love to hear from you if you've overcome a setback at any point in your life. Tell us what happened. Let us know what happened and what helped you the most in that situation? Because chances are, if you give us quite a bit of detail and you tell us what's going on, I can guarantee that that will help somebody else that is going through that exact same thing at this present moment. So please, if you feel inclined to, do share, let us know. You will be helping somebody that you don't know, I can guarantee it. We'll be doing the live check-in on Wednesday, Facebook. We do a live check-in talking about how to overcome a setback. If you've got any questions, you've got any comments, if you want to join us live on the call, please do. We're going to be on Facebook. I'll put the link in the box below. If you can be live, brilliant. Join in with us. Let's have a conversation. I love those sessions. I love the questions that come out of it. We always go one step deeper than we do in the Soul Work episode. The live check-in is on Wednesday at 4 p.m. GMT, which is UK time. It'd be awesome to see you there. If you can't make it live, don't worry. Post in the box below, let us know your questions, let us know anything that you've experienced, let us know the biggest insight that you're taking away from this. I'll raise it live on the call and we'll have a discussion around it. It'd be awesome to see you there if you can, and if not, as I said, check in with us in the box below. Don't forget, we're back same time next week, so Sunday, 7 p.m. GMT time, the next episode of the Soul Work will be coming out live to you. Don't forget to keep a lookout for it, and I'll see you next week. Hope you have a fantastic week. Let us know your biggest insight from this episode, and I'll see you again soon. Take care, and bye for now.